On my watch, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. I would like everyone to stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, so Pat, would you do the roll call?
Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Floral?
Here.
Mr. Hardeman?
Here.
Mr. Horn?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Storr?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 board members present, therefore we do have a quorum.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Looks like Mayor Foster is not here, but we have Colleen. You want to say anything? I do not. You do not? Okay, this was your chance. Thank you. Okay, so we'll do the across the board here. General Manager and Director of Finance search updates. The board conducted on-site interviews with 2 finalist candidates for the general manager position between February 23rd and 26th. The board selected a final candidate and has started agreement negotiations. If the agreement negotiations go as planned, we believe we will have a GM here on property by the middle of April. As soon as we have a signed agreement, there will be an e-blast announcement to the community. GSI is in the process of conducting the initial screening for the Director of Finance position. Time estimates would have us filling the Director position in the June-July 2024 timeframe. We will continue to provide updates as we move through the candidate search and selection process. The Facilities Reserve Study. We continue to make progress on funding needs for specific reserve expenditures for 2024. An estimated $945,000 has been identified in the Federal Facility Reserves Study as this year's priority projects. The board continues to review the projects for these amounts in their scheduling. We anticipate a capital authorization request, what we call a CAR, for quarters 1 and 2 capital projects, as well as funding for the operations of maintenance projects for Q1 and Q2 in March. These are budgeted amounts, and actuals to budget are constantly monitored once approved. This iterative process is and will be done every year for outlying years through the entire timeline. As we stated previously, this information is evaluated, discussed, reviewed, and presented as a process involving all departments and divisions, senior management team, and the board of directors. We appreciate the community's patience with this effort and will continue to provide updates on this matter as we have solid information to share. Members who would like to share their comments regarding the Facilities Reserve can reach out by sending the email messages to Bruce Horn at treasurer@fairfieldglade.cc. The strategic planning update. The strategic planning committee, along with the board of directors, have worked diligently to incorporate feedback from the community and the board into short-term and long-term plans. Most of the feedback received during the first 7 months of 2023 focused on the short term. The SPC, based on feedback, has been charged with providing a clearer picture of Fairfield Glade in 2034. Utilizing growth trends, local and national economic figures, amenity trends, and other indicators, the committee is working to paint a picture of Fairfield Glade in 2034. If we continue to grow at our prior 10-year rate, what key questions must we answer to ensure we continue to flourish? What are the demands for water, electricity, healthcare, amenities, and other services? We recognize all are anxious to see the plan. The SPC, along with the board, are equally anxious. However, it is important that the picture is clear and the focus clearer. That said, we are pushing hard to present the plan to the community by the end of May. Members who would like to share comments regarding the strategic planning initiative can reach out by sending email messages to the team at strategicplanning@fairfieldglade.cc. Information concerning the strategic planning team is also available on the Community Club website at www.fairfieldglade.cc. Tree policy update. There were approximately 70 comments received by the March 1st deadline concerning the proposed posted revision to the tree policy. The ACC recommended and the board agrees that more time will be needed to review the comments and make any necessary changes to the proposed policy. Therefore, there will be no action taken on this policy at the board meeting. When the ACC has finished their review and incorporated any necessary changes to the proposed policy, we will post the policy again for community comment. Annual food and beverage survey. The annual resident food and beverage survey results will be reviewed with the board at the April meeting and will be posted on the website following this meeting. Director of Food and Beverage update. Bobby Jones Links announced the promotion of Executive Chef Dustin Maley to Director of Food and Beverage earlier this month. In conjunction with this announcement, sous chef James Edmonds III will be promoted to Executive Chef, and Laura Griffiths was hired as the snack bar manager effective March 23rd. Druid Hill Project. The putting course and driving range work is complete. We are now waiting warmer weather. The Golf Performance Center work began March 14th with a target completion date in October. The Druid Hill Steering Committee continues to work with the architect, Vic Jones, on the clubhouse and site work design. Work will continue to refine the design with the goal of being prepared to present the design concepts to the members in the town hall meeting in April. Members who would like to share additional comments regarding the Druid Hills project can reach out to Druid Hills Steering Committee and subcommittees by sending an email messages to these committees at druidhillsprojects@fairfieldglade.cc. Emergency Services Complex update. AEI of Cookville continues to work on the architectural design and engineering work for the Emergency Services Complex project. We have received the site survey report for the proposed site, including a topographical survey report. The site survey reports have been shared with AEI, and they are developing options for the orientation of the new ESC on the proposed site. Once the orientation has been determined, we will conduct soil borings to determine the feasibility of construction on the proposed site. Detailed architectural and engineering drawings are expected in the April-May timeframe. Robin Hood Park Bocce Courts. The contractor has made the initial site visit. Earthwork started March 18th with a target date for completion in August. Members can view updates for these projects on the member website homepage under the Major Projects tab. Wildwood Stables update. We are pleased to report that 25 members of the community applied to serve on the Wildwood Stables Planning Committee. The great majority of applicants have direct experience with equestrian activities. Interviews with each applicant were conducted during the week of February 12th, and the challenging selection process was conducted on February 24th. The 9 members selected to serve were seated at the organizational meeting on March 7th, where the elected officers set meeting dates and discussed agenda items for their next meeting. As a reminder, the purpose of the Wildwood Stables Planning Committee is to research and recommend options to the Board of Directors for the operation of Wildwood Stables for 2025 and beyond. This is our March update from the across the board. I'm going to add a couple things there on the GM update. We're very close. We're just awaiting reference, and we do drug testing before we solidify any offer. Hopefully that's going to get turned around here pretty quick, and as soon as we do have that information, we will get an e-blast out about who the person is and a little bit of the background, but we don't do that until we have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. Okay?
Great.
And I'm going to turn it over to Bruce. He's got an introduction to do.
As Greg mentioned, Bobby Jones Links promoted Laura Griffiths, or hired Laura Griffiths as our snack bar manager. Laura is a resident and is in the audience, and I'd ask her to stand to be recognized. Laura, welcome.
Okay? Treasurer's report.
Good morning. The Treasurer's Report. By the way, we are in good shape again this month, but we have some ups and downs because it's the first of the year, so you can imagine there's a lot of stuff that'll get smoothed out over the rest of the year. But we'll start with sewer. We have a 4 million total cash compared to 4.4 million of 23, which is a negative of 200 grand. For the POAs and amenities, we have 5.1 million of capital cash plus 7.7 million of operating cash for a grand total of $12.8 million. That's the POAs compared to 10 million, 0.5 in January of 2023. So we're ahead of the game by 2.3 million right now. We have the sewer. We talk about the statement of activities. The sewer ended the month of February with a surplus of 46.7 thousand, which is a negative of 3.5K. The revenue itself was favorable to budget by 10,860. The negative variance on this was due to the utilities, which were lower in January, but they're going to, it's part of it is timing. It's like everything else when things come in and they get posted. So some of this stuff is just the way things hit the books for us. On the POA, the operations were positive 177.6 thousand to a budgeted surplus of 153,000, and that's which results in a surplus. Everybody's having troubles this morning speaking. It must be getting up so early. The surplus of 23,000 is a surplus to budget. There are some grant monies that were budgeted in the police department, and it's difficult to predict. Anybody that's dealt with grants know that it's always an interesting challenge on when those monies will come in, but they will be allocated appropriately. The amenities were a positive to budget of 49.4 thousand, with a net loss of 882,000 compared to a budget loss of 931. That's we had a decrease in F&B sales, so that makes a difference, obviously. The overall, the POAs were a positive to budget of 73,250, with a loss of 704,783 compared to a budget loss of 778,33. One of the things, some of the things that are going on, it's the numbers within the numbers that go on. As an example, there were some really great events that were held here in the center, a couple of big events. That changes the number positively within the numbers that we get. Racket sports is just going great guns. Weather was benign a couple of days. People were out there playing in their mucklucks and the long underwear to play pickleball and tennis. And they're booked up on pickleball and tennis inside constantly. And they sold a lot of stuff. Now there's paddles that sell over there as well, with everything else going on. So the numbers are as good as we can expect this early. A lot of things will smooth out. The weather is coming up. We took a hit because we had, which one was it? It's blackberry winter that we had late last month. So I think we're done with those kinds of weather-related issues. So if you have any questions, I will try and answer them now. If you have questions, go ahead and send them to me in writing, because some of this stuff that you ask is buried in the numbers someplace, and we, the whole team, will get those answers for you. It just takes some time to dig through them for you. Thank you.
Okay. Russ?
Good morning. Okay, for anyone that has not attended a meeting recently that I've been involved with, the red flags would indicate things that are not going quite as well as we would like. Green flags are good trends. So a few red flags. Roles and responsibilities of the board and the SMTs need clarity. This has been one that's been up there before. It's one that I'm continuing to work on in my time at Fairfield Glade. And we're making some headway on that, but there's still some ways to go. I recently attended a Club Management Association conference in Las Vegas, and this is for continuing education. And one of the things that was prominent was governance. So we're not the only club that deals with these issues, but it is a very important issue as we go forward. There's a need for education regarding funding of capital and reserves. You're going to hear after my report from Jonathan, and Jonathan's going to start the process of that with education on the sewers, reserves, and funding. And then in future meetings, we'll talk about other things. So that's very important as we go forward in terms of helping to share the information about how we're going to fund improvements at the club and the community for future needs, for the reserve study, and future capital needs such as Druid Hills down the road. So all that's going to be very important for y'all to have a good understanding of that, and hopefully his presentation will start that process as we get into this. And we have 20 committees or subcommittees. Hard to believe. That's a lot. Frankly, and I've had some of these discussions already with the board, that's something that's going to be a longer-term issue to consider. And for the incoming manager, it's unwieldy today. Long-term, it's really not sustainable. That's too much for one manager to deal with, and also the board. I think some clarification is needed. One of the things that's been discussed in terms of the review of the bylaws in the future is perhaps making some of those committees advisory to the board and others advisory to management. I think the structure of those can be clarified. There's some variance now in how the committees are functioning. Some are functioning quite well, some need some work. So that's just an area that I think we've got to continue to work on as we go forward. Green flags. The first two Meet the Team events were very well received. We had one in February and one in March. Mary Jo and the SMT team did a great job of helping to welcome individuals. And I might have mentioned this before, but the first 2 years of a member's life in a club and community are quite important in terms of their being able to connect. And if they don't connect in those timelines, often it's quite difficult for them to connect. We had people that had not really gotten introduced to the club and what it offered, and this was a good way to do that in a welcoming manner. So we're going to try to continue those as we go forward and vary those as well. We started the work with Shannon Turner. She's now in place as a part-time communications manager. She's off to a very good start. She's also doing training part-time as we evolve this role. Her main focuses initially are consistency of communications, frequency of communications, making those more concise, and being a gatekeeper for communications. There's a lot of other areas in terms of communications that over time we hope she'll get into, but we've got to grow this very, very methodically. And she's also involved now with Mary Jo and Jeff Houston, working with the team on developing a plan to promote the upcoming Senior Open and the Women's Open. That's a great opportunity for this community club to build awareness and build excitement, and she's going to help with those things. So if you see Shannon, she's at the Admin 1 building, please welcome her to her new role, and we're glad to have her on board. We've been involved in a North Star reboot. A lot of you have heard about North Star, some of the challenges we've had for various reasons in the past. But Bob Urey, our IT manager, has been involved in some of that, along with the North Star team and our SMT team and members of the board. You're going to hear more about that in the future, but we're in the process of going through that now. There's some good news down the road on this. It's going to take some time, but there's an opportunity once we get more data properly in the right place, for better communications and better connections with the members. So that may take a few months, it may take 6 months, but over time it's going to be a benefit for the members in the community, and I think it'll function a lot better in the long run. North Star is our system for financial management and member records that we have in place, so it involves the billing and also our website. Certainly. Dustin, it's already been mentioned, but welcome and congratulations. Look forward to having you on the SMT team. And one other one, which is not on the green flags. Quite often in our society, it's easy to point out the negative and things that aren't going well. Sometimes we don't do a great job of thanking people enough. I want to recognize Pat Davis. She's been with us for over 4 decades. Pat provides great leadership and continuity for this club, and she's a great asset. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Okay, Jonathan? For those of you that may have forgotten, Jonathan's our interim director of finance.
All right, so good morning, everyone. One of the things we discussed, Russ just discussed it, was the education factor that we're trying to work on. One of the most, I would say, probably the most complicated things that happen here at the Glade is the financial reporting. Most of you have been in business and are used to straight financial reporting. Unfortunately, we are an association and follow what we call the Common Interest Realty Association, which is what we are. That goes under fund accounting. So fund accounting is a new concept for most of you. So one of the things we decided to do when we did this is give a little education factor on what fund accounting is. So we're going to start with the sewer fund. So in the sewer fund is made up of 3 basic funds. Now, the key point here is we have to mention that the funds work independently of each other. So it's almost like 2 corporations in one. So what happens in the sewer fund has to stay in the sewer fund. We cannot use sewer fund monies to fund regular operations or amenities or any of that other thing. So it needs to stay. So the sewer has 3 basic funds inside of the sewer fund. One is the availability, one is the capacity, and one is the sewer service. So let's look at the first one. So we have the availability fund. And so what is the availability fund? It's right in the title of the word. We make sewer available to the residents of Fairfield Glade. And how do we do that? Well, sewer is provided by the sewer department. The owner then pays a sewer availability fee. From that, the funds are accumulated in that fund, which is segregated from the rest of the sewer operations to increase availability for the community as a whole. And then from there, the sewer department will invest, whether it's through capital items, such as the Oak Knoll project that we have planned for this year, a rock hammer that he's required to purchase for making it more available, or extensions as a whole. And everything here is, Bruce and his sewer department has a plan of how the community is going to extend sewer and make it available throughout the whole community. And they have a pretty extensive plan. I think it goes 10 years out. It goes 10 years out. So if you ever want to talk to Bruce, he'll be more than happy to tell you how that is sort of going to look. But it's all based upon a plan, and eventually, hopefully, we'll make sewer available to the entire community. But that all acts within its own, for lack of a better word, its own silo. So really, what goes into the availability has to stay in the availability. So that brings us to our next fund, which is the capacity fund. Obviously, when we talk about after availability, we have to ensure that we have enough capacity to service the members and service all the people that are on the sewer. So what are some examples of how we increase capacity? Well, if any of you have been to the sewer plant, you see a couple of things. One, we have extensive drip fields, which allow us to take care of the affluent. The other is the actual ponds which operate down there. So how does that get funded? Well, the home is constructed and hooks up to sewer. The homeowner pays a sewer capacity fee. Those funds accumulate, again, investment in capital, and one of the things I mentioned was the drip fields. That was probably one of the biggest parts of the capacity, and that allows us to increase the capacity. Once again, I want to say capacity is a closed fund. So whatever goes into capacity has to stay in capacity. So we can't use it for other parts of the operation. And the last one is general operation. So this is the sewer service fund. So we pay service fees, $30 a month. That part of that goes into fund his operations, pay his employees, keep the lights on, et cetera, general maintenance. And some of it goes into capital. So capital items here are like something Bruce brought up yesterday, the odor control equipment, a partial mix aerator. Those are stuff in general operations. And again, so that is fueled by or funded by your monthly service fee. So that, in a nutshell, is how the sewer system works in terms of funds. So it's very important we remember that there's 3 distinct funds within the sewer. One is the availability, one is the capacity, and one is the service. And each one of those works independently of the other. So it's very important in the sense that we don't commingle funds. So if we say, the capacity is running out of money, we'll just borrow it from the availability. That doesn't happen. They have to be independent of each other. On that note, I'll be willing to take any questions on how that works. Yes, sir.
I'm going to remind everyone, Nico, you're doing a good job here. If you wanted to say something or ask a question, you need to come up and speak in the microphone. We got some feedback from the last meeting that people couldn't hear that are watching on TV and that kind of thing. So please come up and introduce yourself and then ask your question. Go on ahead, Nico.
Nico Sergio. This doesn't sound like it's on.
Yes, it is. You're on.
Community club member since April of 2005. On page 2, you talk about the availability fund. Prior to March of 2018, the sewer lines, as I understand it, were installed, and the community club paid for that. The owner wasn't charged until they pulled a building permit. And after March of 2018, the sewer availability fee, as I understand it, is paid about the time the sewer line is put in. So your statement here that people don't pay it until they build a home, I don't think it's worded properly. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand. And we talk in general terms, each situation, there are differences in the situation, but it's just trying to make that once sewer is available, you have that availability fee, whether paid on permit or paid on, but you have, someone at some point has to pay that availability fee.
Bruce?
Yeah.
Bruce?
Sorry. Yeah. No, I mean,
Emphasize.
Clarify.
The sewer availability, I'm Bruce Evans, Director of Sewer Systems. The sewer availability fee and the capacity fee are one-time payments only, whereas the sewer service fee is a recurring monthly charge. So the availability fee, which is somewhere around $2,100 in 2024, is a one-time fee, and it's charged as soon as sewer becomes available now. As of 2018, as Nico said, if sewer becomes available to an undeveloped lot, that lot owner is charged that sewer availability fee. And that's a one-time charge. They are not charged again when the lot is developed, so.
yeah, and like you said, that's a key point there, that those 2 funds are one-time fees.
Any other questions? We'll have more next month. The idea here is that we're trying to take a little piece at a time and do an education process. It's very important the membership understands how money flows here at Fairfield Glade. This came out really in the in the budget presentation we had last November. There's a lot of confusion, and if you're not familiar with it, you can get easily confused. So we're going to try to make it simple, but also at the same time complete, to show you how different funds work and how we budget and how the funds flow. So this is just the first of a couple that we're going to be doing. So thank you very much, Jonathan. Okay, Barb.
Okay, good morning. Wyndham Timeshares month to date is 3,549, and year to date 6,984. And I was told that the Wyndham Timeshares were 100% occupied for the week of Easter, so that brings a lot of visitors. As far as timeshare revenues, the center generated $24,840 of like revenue at 28%. The racket sports, $1,073, 2%. Dartmoor and St. George didn't open until March, so this was through the end of February, 0. Golf generated $3,076, which is 2%. Food was at $14,440, which is 7%, and total timeshare revenues $43,427, which is an average of 8%. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Nico.
Nico Sergio again. Barbara, does the Timeshare Association or the Timeshare Association in conjunction with Wyndham do a strategic plan, a 10-year, 5-year plan? And if you do something like that, is that available to the community club members?
I would have to ask our resort manager, Mark McLean. I know when we have our timeshare board meetings, we look into the future and plan for renovations, and we usually do those at a 5-year span. We've been having to do roof replacements and siding replacements, which have been very expensive. So I would have to check with Mark and see if that could be made available to you.
Okay. All right, there's no unfinished business, so we're going to move into new business. Bruce, I don't know if you or Jonathan are going to do the carryovers?
Yeah, I can. Let me bring it up. I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry. I thought we were doing the capital authorization. Where's my carryover? Wait till I find it here. We have so many spreadsheets in front of me.
Well, I'll explain a little bit what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Carryovers are something we do every year. These are projects that were started in the prior year but not finished. So what we are allowed to do is carry over into this year those funds that have not been used for those projects that were started out last year but not finished. So what this is the remaining monies that we need to have to finish those projects that were started, okay?
Yep.
And this is a yearly thing.
It's $93,988 for the golf course equipment and $2,364 for the.
Is that today? Yeah. Good Lord, my email, here we are. Sorry, folks, I've got so many emails and information that came in this morning. Here we go. I apologize. There we are. Capital. Yep. Yep. There we go.
Okay, so regular capital.
Yeah. Down here.
So it is that number for China and flatware,
Oh, that's the same one as yesterday. Okay. We were working on this yesterday, so we have two of them, the $2,364 for food and beverage of china and flatware, and golf course equipment was a carryover of $93,338. And that's for the regular capital for this year.
Okay?
To make a motion to accept the carryover for 2023, 2024.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Questions?
Jonathan, are we also going to look at the carryover for the major projects? Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
we're going to do that one next.
Okay.
Okay?
You want major capital?
All right. Anything, any other questions on the carryovers for these? They may not sound like projects, but this is equipment that we've actually tried to order, but it hasn't been able to get in yet. So we're carrying over those funds so that in fact we can pay for them when it shows up. This has been an ongoing thing really since COVID, because it's very difficult to get the equipment because of the supply chain issues. So hearing no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now let's go into project capital.
Right. So we have the, let me bring him up here. It's up here. Yeah. This is for the Druid Hills planning.
Bruce, can you talk into you?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is on the amenities for Druid Hills project for the planning and golf construction, and it's for this includes Phase 3. So it's broken out in two line items, one for $29,628, which is the planning and golf construction, and the second is for Phase 3 for construction, well, $418,562. That's for a total of $448,190, and that is for the Druid Hills project. Did that come through on the mic yet?
Can you motion?
So I'm a motion to approve $448,190 for the Druid Hills construction and planning project.
Is there any discussion, questions? Second?
I'll second the motion.
All right. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That's it, I think, right?
That's it. We have chairs, golf course equipment. That was it?
Is that it?
Yep.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
That is it.
Okay, we have an appointment to make for the Lakes Committee. Bruce?
We have one person on the Lakes Committee. I make a motion that the applicant for the Lakes Committee be approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Some of you might remember from last month, we're not announcing the names because since we've changed the process a little bit, we want the persons that are selected to hear it first from the chairperson as opposed to the, to hearing it in this public meeting. So that's why we're doing it this way. I know it sounds a little kludgy, but the fact of the matter is that we really want the person to hear from the committee and the people that maybe not are selected. In this case, there's only one applicant, and so there's no one going to get noticed that they're not being selected, but so that we keep that, so the person hears in a timely manner and not through a public forum like this. All right? Any other discussion on the applicant? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Mr. Bruce Evans. There's so many Bruces here, we got to keep them straight.
Good morning again. I'm presenting a car this morning for the Oak Knoll Force Main Redirect Project with a total project cost of $500,000. $13,450, which was previously approved for engineering, design, permitting, and advertising. So this car is for $486,550. This will redirect the force main coming out of Oak Knoll Pump Station, which currently discharges to our Rebel Run Pump Station, and change it to flow down Westchester right to the treatment plant. So it will eliminate about 80% of the flow at our Rebel Run Pump Station, saving significant money in electrical costs. So, any questions?
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the funding for the Oak Knoll Force Main Redirect.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Reserve capital projects. This is the first of, we're going to be doing these by quarter, really. And the reason why we're doing that is I think, well, in the workshop, I know we talked about this, and if we didn't talk about it here, I'll talk about it for a second here right now. The reserve study, when we got it back, obviously is very detailed and goes through about 30 years of projects. We need to go through those and take a look at two things. Number one, the original study, it was suspected that it was going to be all capital. It turns out it's not. Some of those projects are O&M, operations and maintenance, or repairs, sometimes it's referred to, and some of those are capital projects because of the nature and scope of the work. So that's been a very detailed review, and I spoke to that and across the board as well. We've had the senior management team, we've had the financial team, we've had the board. So we've been trying to go through those things and really get them not only in the right year, but also within the right scope and make sure that we're accounting for them correctly. So the easiest way to do that, or the best way to do that we found, is we're going to come in about every quarter and get the approval for the projects for those quarters. And then that'll be ongoing throughout the year. Now, next year, we'll probably go through the same process because of the detail, but as we get better at it and we can look out further, we'll be looking at those that reserve study in a longer view, okay? We're still taking a look at a longer view because we are moving projects that don't make sense to do now and moving them out years, but we're not going to have that whole reserve study complete for a little while. So we're going to go ahead and look at the ones that we're going to do quarter one and quarter two, and then we'll come back in quarter three and quarter four and do the same thing, okay?
And we have projects, go ahead.
So we're currently asking for $143,396, which include the following projects. $33,500 for building renovations at admin building number 2. $24,700 building renovations for admin building number 3. $10,956 for a swimming pool chemical systems for the center. $12,000 for the pool and spa ADA lift for the center. $25,000 for the Druid Hills maintenance facility roof. $12,240 for the Dorchester refrigerator, and $25,000 for the audio visual equipment at the center. And that is the car for that. Do you want me to go into the other one?
No. We'll do this one first, okay? Are there any questions on the capital piece of this? And we're in the second, we'll do the O&M.
I'll make the motion that we approve $143,396 for the reserve capital projects.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Jonathan, you want to go through the O&M ones?
O&M.
Those were, like I said before, those were the capital items associated with the reserve study. The operating or maintenance part of that reserve study was $30,000 for the center asphalt paving lot, so the paving here for the entire lot. $5,000 for the clay tennis court repair at the racket center. $10,000 for the cart barn exterior paint and repair. $20,000 for the golf course irrigation system repair at Heatherhurst. $15,000 St. George Marina bathroom renovation allowance. $15,000 for the mini golf carpet. $15,000 for mini golf overall improvements, and $15,000 for the asphalt repairs of the walking paths.
Okay.
So I make a motion for O&M projects for $125,000.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
I'd like to point out that those O&M dollars are coming out of the POA
Yeah.
operating reserve that's listed on your balance sheet that you looked at.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, all right. That's all the cars and new business that we have. So any comments from the floor? Go ahead.
Ted Landers, 22 Amesbury Court. On the $25,000 that's for the renovation for the electronics for here, does that include any sound materials for this building? Or is it just strictly electronics?
Bob?
I think it was all electronics. What are you talking about? You mean like baffles?
Come up here. They can't hear you.
The reason I ask is that there have been concerts here, and there are areas when you open all three up that it's really hard to hear because the sound is terrible in here. And I just wondering if there was any of that money was to try and address some of that deficiency. Thank you.
Bob Erie, IT manager, and yes, it will make when we have all the ballrooms open, the sound will be much better.
Okay. Any other remarks from the floor? Got a couple things, and I'll give the other board members here a chance. A couple things that, this is one that came up last month, and so we're trying to keep track of those and come back to people that ask the questions and make sure you understand what the answers are. There was a question last month about tours at the stables. We've been working, matter of fact, we got an email from Conrad Tours, and they are going to do a tour. It'll be in the April-May timeframe. They actually have a date set. So if you go out on their website and you have an interest, well, Matt's here. What's the date? 24th of April, right? Okay. So 24th of April, that's when the tour is going to be. So if you have an interest in wanting to see the stables, that's available to you. You can go out to Conrad Tours and talk, see what they're doing and the dates and get signed up, all right? So the club is not going to be doing any separate kind of tour for that. We're going to rely on the people that are already in place to do it and have them conduct it, okay? A couple other things that I wanted to point out. We're getting closer to election season, and the board, we've been talking about this and for a while. We're going to have 2 seats that are going to be open because the current members cannot run for a 3rd term. So we're encouraging people to really consider running for the board. And with that, the board has taken the action of trying to come up with what we're calling characteristics of a good board member from our experiences. That'll be probably shared with the application this year. So I encourage you to be looking out for that. Those will come out here with the time frame when you're going to be able to get the application will be late May, and you have to turn them in by early June. So all those dates and timelines will be coming out. But if you're thinking about it, you can certainly talk to anybody up here. You can talk to even staff, you know, they interact with the board a lot, and they can have their own ideas about how that works. But please, if you consider it all, give it serious consideration. We do need good, active board members, and this is our opportunity to get them starting, or continuing to get them, I should say, starting in late May. The other thing is that I wanted to also put a plug in. We talked a little bit about it. We had a meeting, I guess it was a week before last now, with the PGA of Tennessee. Some of you might know that we've been sponsoring these tournaments, the two here, the Senior Men's Open and the Women's Open here for several years. This is the first year that we're not doing it with the city of Crossville. The club is sponsoring these tournaments right here. We had a meeting. Jeff was there, Mary Jo was there, Russ was there, I was there. I was really appreciative of the fact of how many people the PGA from Tennessee came over here. And there's going to be some exciting things that are going to be happening with this thing. We're really trying to blow it out and make it a really big event for our membership to come and get a chance to interact with the players, get a chance to have a good day out in the sun and buy some food and beverage kinds of things with it. So we've got a lot of ideas. We're going to get those into operations, but be watching out for those dates. We'd love to see the community really come out and support it. It's a tremendous opportunity for us to showcase Fairfield Glade and as a place not only to live but to move to. So we're going to try to do a lot of that kind of thing, and I really encourage you to do that. One final thing, and this is something we don't typically do, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. There have been a couple letters in the editor in the Vista about small homes, and one of the things that did not come out in those articles that I'd like to make sure everyone understands is we do have standards. If you go over to the ACC, this is a little bit of it. There's a 14-page document that literally every block, every lot is laid out what the minimum home has to go on there. Now, they range in size from 720, which some of the older lots here that are basically trailers, all the way up to some of the newer ones, and those get around 2,000 minimum square feet. So we do have standards. The other thing that we do have that's a standard is that you can't build higher than 2.5 stories. So for those of you that aren't sure about how we look at that, it's been here for a long time. I know that some of the dates in here are like 2014. Well, it's been around a lot longer than that. So we do have standards. We do abide by them. The person that wants to build a home has to get approval for the design of the home and the size of the home based on the lot and the block that they're in. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that, okay? That's it for me. Okay, Nico.
Nico Sergio. A few years back, the city of Crossville was debating the contribution to the golf tournament. I'm not sure which one it was. If it was, well, they were just one of the two. They were contributing $20,000 to the golf tournament on a yearly basis. So if Crossville is pulling out, is that a permanent? And can you tell us, is that $20,000 loss going to affect the tournament?
Well, it's not a loss. We do get money back for people that play. We get fees back, and there's also food and beverages involved. So it's not a loss. I can't speak for the city, Nico. If they pulled out for right now, there's always an opportunity that they might come back in. So I don't even try to speak for them. All I can tell you is this year and probably for the next couple of years, we are planning on sponsoring those. They're in the budget, so this is not extra funds that we didn't budget for. But there's a give and take, and the more participation we get, the better the economics look for us, okay? So that's where we are on that, okay? Oh, okay.
Were they in? I thought they were.
All right, we're going to back up here.
Yeah. Wasn't clear. I didn't know if they were going to be included.
Well,
They're in there, the carryover for the fire hydrants.
No, they're not
they're
supposed to
not.
be there.
They're
We
not
talked,
supposed to.
yeah,
That was in
that's
there.
not going to be there. Yeah.
It was one of them that I had missed.
Okay.
Apologize.
All right. Anything
Greg.
else?
Greg, I've got
Yeah.
an announcement that we want to make here. The police department and our Neighborhood Watch organization are going to sponsor a presentation this Friday, April 5th, on scam and scam alerts for our residents. That will be from 11 until 1 here at the center. And then after that, from 1 until 3, in conjunction with the presentation from the Police Department and Neighborhood Watch, AARP is going to sponsor the shred truck. And so the shred truck will be here from 1 until 3 on this Friday afternoon as well. And you're reminded that you can bring 2 containers full of material to be shredded. And that'll be outside in the parking lot of the center.
Anything else?
What is the date for that shredding truck again, please?
Friday, April 5th, this Friday coming up.
Week from tomorrow.
Next Friday, yeah.
Okay? Anything else? If not,
Motion to adjourn?
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you all for coming.
Where the hell was the O&M?